What's going on, everybody? I know it's been a while since I made a video, so uh, I've been pretty busy trying to apply and redo my whole resume and been reaching out to people on LinkedIn trying to network and get referrals and get advice as well. But I have been a little bit more encouraged to make videos again. Um, and today I wanted to finally do something a little bit more technical, but it's very basic. We would be making a virtual machine, spinning up a virtual machine with Azure. Uh, I mainly work with Microsoft services. I love Microsoft. I will live and die by Microsoft. But we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen and get right into it, and then I'll talk a little bit more after I'm done. So what you want to do is sign in. Just type in Azure portal, and you're gonna go to. If you don't have an account, which I do already, you can go to the first link, and it'll show you, try Azure for free. And you click here, and then you sign in with your account. Um, I'm not gonna do that because I already have an account, but this is how the website looks to make a free trial, and I think it gives you like $200 of credit. Yeah, here it is. Um, and after a month, you will go on to pay as you go, which isn't even that expensive as long as you turn off and delete your VMs afterwards. So we're gonna go ahead and get signed into the Azure portal, and I'm already logged in. As you can see here, uh, you can see I'm in Josh Matacor's cyber range. Uh, I I'm in Josh Matacor's cyber range, which is super helpful. I was in the course careers one, which also shows you how to spin up a virtual machine. You can literally go anywhere. This is probably like the easiest thing you're ever gonna do. Uh, but I feel like it's super important and people will just brush over it, and sometimes it can be overcomplicated when certain people explain it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to explain it in the simplest way ever, even as a beginner myself. So we're in the Azure portal here. You can see the Microsoft Azure here. Uh, it may or may not pop up on the quick selection area here. So you can always just type in virtual. Wow, can't see right now. Virtual machines, and this is the virtual machines I have going on right now. Two of them are just made from like the admins in the cyber range, and then in the cyber range you only get one. You only are able to create one at a time. I'm not going to fully create this one, but we're going to go as if we were. So we're in the virtual machines page. We're going to hit create, and for the most part, you're always going to be just get used to doing this, starting it from scratch. So select the first option here, and here we're gonna get pretty. You're gonna see your subscription. It'll be if you already made an account with the free trial. You only have one to select, unless you're in like a company who has like multiple subscriptions. But don't worry about the subscription. The resource group, um, for you, it will be different. You will have to create one. Um, you don't have to create one beforehand. It's a little too much work if you're creating all the resources, which will come up. There will be more later. Um, if you create all of them like one by one and then finally create your VM. No, when you're doing your VM, you can just create it here and it'll spin it up for you. It might take a little couple of extra minutes, but it's better than going through each different service um, or resource and creating them one by one. So here, the virtual machine, you create your new resource. You'll type in, whatever, like your name, Mahmoud RG. I'm not gonna do it because it won't let me since I'm using the cyber range. So I'm just gonna click mine. So yeah, like your name and then RG for resource group. usually how it goes, right? And then the virtual machine name, again, it could be like whatever, like pen test VM if you're gonna do like a pen test or something. It could be whatever you want as long as you remember it and it's easy to read for future cases. The region, I like doing East US2 or North Central US. We're just going to be doing East US2 because we're only going to be selecting one size, and I'll get into that right now. Availability zone doesn't matter. Zone options doesn't matter. Zone doesn't matter. The next important thing would be the image. So, the operating system, right? So you can see I have the recently used ones here. They're down here. Say once you select them. So this Ubuntu is a Linux server, a Linux operating system. So if you want to do Linux projects, you go ahead and select that. Um, Windows 10, usually do that for like like just exposing your VM or something. I mean, you can do that with Linux too, right? But you're gonna select whatever image here that's fit for your project. I use these three mainly, and then I don't really, we don't really click this in the cyber range. Uh, you might want to look into that if you're once you have pay as you go. But the size is the most important thing. In my experience, the size that is pretty much always available is the DS1 V2, which is just like the I guess the least powerful VM available. But since it's the least powerful, that means there's more available. Because everyone's always, other users and using Microsoft, which is a bajillion, is are using these sizes already. But the most available, and if you're not going to be doing anything crazy in these VMs, so you don't need that much of a capacity or speed. And then from here, we'll go down to, since we're not gonna, it's on a Linux. Did I select Linux? Okay, I'm just gonna pick, for the sake of the video, I'm gonna do Windows 10. See how it changed here. Um, So yeah, here be again something super easy to remember. You can use your name, or you can just do something generic like lab user. Uh, you can do something generic for your password also. Like I'm just doing password 123. Um, you're gonna keep RDP available because that's how we're gonna connect to the VM. And then click the licensing agreement. Okay, for disks, uh, you can leave it this pretty much the default. Um, but for the cyber range, we do use standard standard hard drive, mainly just for pricing. Uh, Always delete with VM. Make sure that's clicked. Go to the next one, networking. Here is also important that you have to configure a couple settings. So here you'll do um, so on your own. If you're going to be doing it on your own and you're not in the cyber range, you'll have to create a new virtual network for that VM. So you would just say create new, and then this window pops up, and you just give it a generic name, and um, you could just click this, and that'll be like the IP range, and then you would click OK. But I'm not gonna do that because you can't. They won't allow me in the cyber range. But something simple like keep the name simple again, related to your project or to your VM. And subnet, you can leave that alone. You probably have to. This should populate once you create your virtual network. And then here, the public IP, leave it alone as well. Now, if you're trying to expose your VM and you're going to be like using it as like a honeypot, you're going to take off the NIC network security group. So you're going to just put none. And then I'm going to put delete public IP and NIC when VM is deleted, just so you won't have any like you don't have to go back later and delete extra stuff because we're gonna put. I mean, usually when you create VMs, you kind of just delete them afterwards after you're done doing your project, for the most part. Because if you keep them open, they're gonna keep charging you, right? Management, it's okay. If you want to connect to Enter ID, you would do so by clicking these buttons. Monitoring, um, we're gonna disable. Uh, the only reason why you would want this, you don't really need it if you're gonna be doing like vulnerability or management or incident response scenarios, projects. So we're just gonna go ahead and click disable. So, and then this we can get next. You don't really, it's not important. Tags not important. And then here is where we would create, waiting for it to load. Okay, so yeah, it'll tell you if there's any errors at the top, but since we did it correctly, it passed. So here we would hit create. I'm not going to hit create, and then it'll pop up in this notifications window to where it says, okay, VM is being created, and it'll just let it run for like 2-3 minutes, and then you'll be able to click on your VM and it'll go to your VM. So here we already made the VM. It's this is the one I've been working on recently. It's stopped right now. I'll go over this little page very briefly. So yeah, we're in the VM page. It's already spun up. Things we just got to do is just like make sure it's start. It's running. So I'm just gonna hit start. Uh, I'm gonna connect to it in a little bit, or I'm gonna tell you why I can't connect to it, I guess. But yeah, it's starting up, and you'll know it's started up because it right here, the status will say uh, running instead of stopped or deallocated. You can see the resource group it's associated with, the subscription that it's under. Here it goes, it's running now. Zone, location, all that stuff. The only thing really important is the status of it, because sometimes you're like trying to connect to your VM and it's just not even running. And you're like, why can't I connect? But yeah, that would be because it's probably not running. And then the next most important thing on this section is the public IP address. This is how you're going to connect to your VM if you want to do it through remote desk protocol, which is RDP. So here you would just go to your start menu and then you just put RDP and it'll pop up right here. Again, well, so I'm not going to connect to it because I can't connect to my VM right now. I was in the process of like doing a lab where I had to isolate my VM. So even if I try, like I'm going to show you what happens since it's isolated, and that'll be for like another video where I do mess with security.microsoft and like kind of like control my VM, isolate it, check the logs, etc. But yeah, see how it's not gonna let me join. But yeah, for the most part, you would copy this public IP address and then just slap it on right here, and then it'll bring you to an area where it's like, okay, type in your username and password to log in, and then you would connect. Another way that I like connecting to the VMs, it's my preferred way, is the connecting via Bastion. So you can either collect on this left window here, or make it easier, connect here, connect via Bastion. And then here, since it's RDP, we're not using a Linux server, so it's not, we're not going to connect through SSH. Leave VM password. And then here is where I would type in the credentials I made earlier to log in, which would be lab user and password 123. And then I'm going to show you how it looks for Bastion. So Bastion just basically opens up another tab in your internet browser. And again, it's not going to connect because the VM is isolated from my previous project that I was working on. So you'll get to see how that looks like. If it was working, it would just look like you're starting up your computer that you your personal computer, but see how it's connection error because it's still isolated. Um, but that's what Bastion does, is basically just a service where it just makes it opens a VM on your browser instead of you like actually connecting in full screen. There's not much of a difference. I just like Bastion. It just seems more efficient for me. That's basically all you really need to know about VMs on a surface level. Um, the private IP address is also something that you will be using in if you start to do your own little projects. Uh, there's a whole bunch of stuff, information here that you can look through if whenever you start doing different projects. But um, that's pretty much it. I mean, once you go home, it'll pop up more. Your resources will pop up, and then again, like I said, make sure you notice the VM. I'm gonna stop my VM. Um, Stopping it, it. I've heard so many things about like different people saying no, you gotta delete it, or to not let it charge you. Um, I think that is true, but since I'm gonna be using this later, I'm just gonna stop it for now. Um, and you can just, and here you'll see like the notification. This is where you'll want this open if you're creating, deleting, stopping, starting stuff, and it'll notify you whenever it's done. But okay, let's go back to webcam. So the implications for like a VM, again, it would be to create a VM virtual machine is essentially just like a sandbox environment. Like it's like a free zone where you get to like blow stuff up, break stuff down, put it back together, just so that way you won't mess with your own computer because you don't want to mess up your own computer, right? You paid for that. The VM costs cents to break um, if you're done with the trial. But that's I think everybody should learn how to make a VM. I know it's not like the most technical video ever, but like I said, I think this is just a foundation that everybody should know. A few updates, I guess, which is kind of what I wanted to wait till the end of the video. I've been trying really hard to connect with people and make meaningful connections, of course. Gonna try to start posting more on LinkedIn, not just reposting, because I feel like just more, not a lot of people are gonna like reach out to you if you're just reposting everybody's stuff without your thoughts and such. Um, like this video, I will post it on video. I'm sorry, on LinkedIn. Um, but yeah, so far the job hunt has been rough. It's really tough right now. Even when like I do get referrals from people on LinkedIn, I feel like I have like a strong resume. I know I have a strong portfolio. Like that was one of the first things I started working on. Um, the second thing I started working on was, getting 500 plus connections on LinkedIn. Now I have a good amount of network. Even though I haven't talked to every single buddy, I feel like you need to, once you start connecting, it creates some sort of like algorithm for you, and then from there you can start sharing your thoughts and what you're doing. But those are the two things that I've been trying to do right now. Um, I'm always rewriting my resume. I just can't. This month has been pretty dry so far. Last month, I feel like after getting right after maybe 2 weeks after getting my Security Plus, I started getting more and more interviews, even if they were like not my level, because I'm still an entry level. I got like interviewed for two mid-level roles, and I knew I wasn't gonna get them, but it was still nice to interview and gain some experience. But entry levels are really hard to come by right now. And if you're in the same position as me, I don't have a tech job. I've never had a tech job. I work in public health. I don't have. I have a chemistry degree, bachelor's. I don't have a cybersecurity degree. I know people say that doesn't matter, but it does matter. I don't like to sugarcoat anything, nor do I gatekeep shit. But yeah, I think it's tough. And if you're in the same spot, good luck to you. I know people that haven't even done as much as I have or you have, or even are getting cybersecurity jobs, which kind of sucks. I mean, yay for them, right? Like, I'm not trying to drag down the community, but also like, where is my break? I've been like doing just as much as this dude who got like two things done and he was able to get hired. Um, but like the world is not fair. And again, I'm not trying to throw hate. Some of these people seem like genuine cool dudes, gals. But that's pretty much it. I won't keep you any longer, and I will try to make at least like one video a week, um, even if it's something small like this. Alright, thank you guys.